I'm going to show you the Great 8 mobility routine, and this is adapted from the book Stretch to Win by Ann and Chris Frederick. And this is how I practice the sequence based on what I've read and from what I understand about it. And I want to share it as a great daily routine for anybody. It's great pre-training, post-training, or just when you feel tight or you feel your body isn't moving well. We're getting at fascial lines in the body, which can cause all kinds of movement dysfunctions and issues if it's not tensioned properly or things are stuck. We're also hitting a lot of the deep muscles in the body, things like the deep hip flexors, the iliacus, and the psoas major. We're getting the joint capsules mobilized and decompressed, which sends a lot of information to the brain into how to detension and mobilize the body. So just follow along. There's a few general rules to think of. Throughout the sequence, we want to be breathing slowly, diaphragmatically, so breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Try to make your exhales long, so maybe twice as long as the inhales. Second rule is no pain or strain. So we're doing repetitions of the stretches, anywhere from 3 to 8 repetitions or until you see no more mobility gains. And you want to move into the stretch until you feel the restriction and then back off from that restriction. We're not pushing through and we're not forcing, which can actually have the opposite effect that you're trying to achieve. You can actually tighten up. And the third thing is to think of traction. So look towards the stretch, look where you're moving, and think of lengthening the body. Think of tractioning, really stretching out. And sometimes it's helpful to visualize somebody pulling you into the stretch or towards the stretch. So with those in mind, just follow along. You can pause if you need to do extra repetitions of any particular stretch. And next time you can just skip this introduction and jump right into the stretches. All right, here we go. So we'll begin on the ground, warming up the hip capsules. Support your body with your hands behind and just let your knees fall from side to side. Try to time your exhales with the legs falling. And we're not forcing anything in here. We're just letting the legs fall. There's no pushing or pressing down. It's very, very gentle. And going into the first stretch, we're going to get into the glute area. So watch as I wave down. I'm going to lengthen and fold forward and come back up on the inhale. So go just to your first restriction and then come back. Notice how I'm sort of curling as I come up rather than just pushing myself up using my glutes. That's to avoid recontracting the muscles I've just stretched. After 3 to 8 reps, we'll go side to side. So breathing in and out, just gently, exploring the different fibers of the glute. Again, for all of these 3 to 8 repetitions, you want to go until you feel no more gains being made. Then we'll walk the hands around to the side. You'll look over the shoulder and think of rotating from the belly button upwards. Try to look over the shoulder. And we're rotating on the exhale, and we're inhaling on the way back. For the next stretch, just come down onto the elbow, and now we're going to go into a back bend. So I'm trying to lengthen from that top hip right up through the bottom of the chin as I go into the back bend. Once again, I'm not looking to push the stretch. There is no pain and there is no strain. I'm not fighting anything. I'm just moving to the first restriction and then just coming back. And then moving to the next restriction and coming back. When there's no more gains being made, we move on to the next stretch, which is my favorite stretch. This is the lat. So think of the arm in traction as you perform a swimming motion. We're exhaling into the reach and trying to rotate the chest towards the floor. So inhale and exhaling into the reach, chest is rotating, and we're stretching that arm nice and long. So we'll repeat the same 4 stretches on the other side, beginning with the glute. And see if you can catch, watch very closely, catch how I wave the spine back up and exhaling down. Don't worry if you don't get this low. Most people don't get their forehead on the ground, at least not on the first time. Just go until you're not making any more improvement. Okay, and then we'll do the side to side, exploring the fibers of the glutes. Always breathing diaphragmatically, in and out through the nose, tongue on the roof of the mouth. Slow exhales are better if you're trying to release tension. And then we'll go into the rotation, sort of scanning the horizon. So the eyes are following the horizon as we exhale. Almost like you're wringing yourself out like a towel. When you're no longer going any further, we come into the back bend or the deep hip flexor iliacus stretch. Exhaling into the back bend and inhaling down. Exhaling into the back bend and inhaling down. You'll see how the front heel keeps that knee from sliding forward. And then we'll go into the lat stretch. I like to think that somebody's got my fingertips and they're stretching me out. Really think of that traction effect. And of course the rotation, trying to face the chest to the floor as you come through on that stretch. That's the 4 on the floor, so the bottom half of the grade 8. So let's stand up and hit the upper body. So here's one for the front net. We're trying to flex the fingertips backwards as we go through this stretch. So fingers are flexing back, and again, think of traction, like your joints are being dislocated, really stretch outwards. You want to exhale as you're going through the stretch. So exhaling up, take an inhale, and then exhale on the way down. So always exhaling as you move into the stretch. If you're particularly tight on one side, you can do this single-sided. So we go into a staggered stance and just keep your hips and shoulders facing forward as you arc through with one side. If one side is tighter than the other, you'll do a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 times as many stretches to the tight side. Rotator cuff stretch, elbows start to the side, and we just rotate out. We move up a notch and repeat. Up a little higher and repeat. Shoulder blades are back and down as we move in and out of the stretch. And then one more step as long as there's no pain in the shoulders. Repeat the process. Elbows at the side until you find your first restriction. Elbows a little higher until you find a restriction. Elbows a little higher. No forcing. Elbows a little higher. Good. And on the third one, I'll show you how to go a little bit deeper if you like. So we'll do the same sequence. And if you're not experiencing any pain anywhere, you can do one side at a time. So go a little bit deeper, elbow a little higher, one side, and then you can repeat the stretch on the other side. Again, always breathing out, exhaling through the nose into the stretch, and inhaling as you come out. Next up, we're going to work on the tight neck muscles, levator scapula and traps. Anchor your one side down, and you're going to drop your chin towards the opposite shoulder. So inhaling as we come around, exhaling, dropping the chin. You'll notice I oscillate the stretch a little bit as I'm exhaling. Find what feels good here. Find where you need it. And notice how I drop out the bottom of the stretch rather than flexing my neck back the other way. We're going to switch sides, same thing on the other side, 3 to 8 repetitions until you see no more benefit. Dropping the chin to the opposite shoulder and then dropping out the bottom of the stretch, inhaling back around. Inhale around, chin to shoulder, and drop out the bottom when you're finished your exhale. And the last stretch is like a threading the needle stretch. It gets into the rhomboids. So from a tabletop position, you're going to reach under and just do a little wave to hit different areas of that stretch. Exhaling, palm is facing up. Imagine somebody's pulling that palm. So we're going into that traction. Exhale, stretch. You can bend the supporting arm to drop a little lower and get a little deeper into the rotation. Same thing on the other side. Exhaling, reach and wave. Exhaling, reach and wave. Exhaling, reach and wave. And that's the great 8.